Hey, here's another W123 tip. I recently had a little connector tear off of my, it's a temperature sensor for the, I think you can find this all over the engine bay of the W123. It's a single pin connector that just connects to the sensor. The other side of that sensor is then grounded through the chassis somehow. And I couldn't figure out how this little connector tore off. The cable rusted through it and tore off. This is right next to the thermostat housing where I found this. And I couldn't quite figure out how to deal with this connector, and I couldn't find any instructions online. So what I did is I clamped the front of this. You can see there's a little inner component of that. I clamped that into my vise carefully, not to break it, and it actually unscrews. So I'm gonna give you a close-up of this right now so that you can replicate this. Okay, so this is, there's 3 components to this, and it's all taken apart here already. But this is essentially the electrical contact on the inside, and I'll show you how to get that out as well. So what I couldn't figure out is there's these teeth in the back here, and I didn't know if they were just clipped in or if there was another trick to this. So what I ended up doing is I clamped this component here carefully into a vise and then turned this, and as it turns out, it actually is a thread on the inside. So you can see there's the thread, and that then clamps the cable on the backside and gives it a, a release. And then there is this electrical connector on the inside of that. And I had to figure out how to get this out of there, because now there's actually a solder connection here. This is still a little bit of leftover from the cable that tore off of it. Now I can just resolder that here. But upon further inspection, I noticed that these things here are actually clips that hold that electrical component in, and it's toothed in such a way that the electrical component actually needs to be pulled up backward. And so I'm not sure, there's got to be some kind of a jig that they used when they made this. But I found out that you can actually remove this by sliding it backward. All I did is I took a fine screwdriver, which fit into here, and then I pushed that out. So the question really in the beginning was, do I pull it this way or do I pull it out the back? And judging by the teeth on these little clips on the inside here, it had to have clipped in by sliding in from the back. So I just put a screwdriver that is small enough to ground out inside of that electrical connector that it grounds out in that. And then I just pushed it through and it came right out. I don't want to clip it in right now. But yeah, this is all there is to it. And so obviously in reverse, I'm going to solder this back on. Then luckily your hole is big enough that you can, even if you forget to slide this onto the cable, you can put that on, slide this back in, rotate this closed, and that will pinch the cable in the back and actually give it strain relief. And then just one more thing to point out, I'm pretty sure, oh actually no, I thought that there was 2 clips, one on this side and one on this side, and this one had broken off. But now as I'm making this video, I actually noticed that it's just one-sided. So this is actually a complete clip. Just make sure not to break this off when you try to unscrew this. And very likely it is this far in, and it's actually barely any space. You may even be able to just grip it with vice grips really carefully, or even just needle nose pliers. Now knowing what there is to this one, knowing that you actually unscrew this one, it makes it a lot simpler for me to figure out what I should have done in the first place. Hopefully this is helpful to somebody. You should be able to reuse this completely, resolder this. I actually used very fine sandpaper, like 800 grit, to clean up the contact on the inside here. And then, yeah, that's going to work again. I'm going to give you a final shot of when I'm putting this back onto the sensor as well.